Our dining companion today is a beautiful actress who is a true icon of the 1980s. She won acclaim for her work as the focus of high school longing in the teen trilogy 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, and Pretty in Pink. Molly Ringwald is now back in the U.S. after 4 years of living in Paris, and she's currently starring in a New York stage hit. Molly's restaurant pick is a tiny French country restaurant, Le Gigot, called by Gourmet magazine the best French bistro New York City has seen in a long time. It's on picturesque Cornelia Street in the heart of New York's Greenwich Village. So join me at the corner table with Molly Ringwald, the teen sensation who's about to turn 30. Does that make you feel old? Well, let's see how she feels about it. Ringwald to the corner table. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
First thing I want to know is, turning 30, how do you feel about it? I mean, it's a trauma for many.
Well, I'm thrilled, actually. I feel like I've been in my 20s forever. Well, 10 years, but
right, that would be a decade.
Long enough. And I'm really looking forward to it.
So it's not like people. I asked somebody, what was I like when I turned 30? One of the few people can remember back that far. They said you were freaked out about turning 30, but you're really feeling good about it.
No, I think it's, for me, it's like there's two great birthdays to celebrate, the 21st and then the 30th. And then after that, you kind of just
hide them from
yeah, you sort of forget about them. But
and
excited.
Your 30th birthday is also your occasion for stopping smoking, which I would say is always a good thing
That's
to do.
True. Thank you very much.
You've been smoking since you were 15.
I know, all my.
So how's it going? How is stopping going?
It's hard. It's the hardest thing I think I've ever done.
Really?
I mean, yeah, but you know, well, the second hardest thing was learning French, but at least there was some great work you automatically felt from it. Quitting smoking is just terrible.
And what are the effects been?
Insomnia and nervousness, but I'm doing okay.
What method are you using? Just cold turkey?
I'm using the
Eating
patch.
more? Oh, the patch?
The patch, yeah.
Where is it? I don't see it.
Underneath my sweater. That's why I'm wearing a sweater.
We're here in Le Gigot, 30-seat restaurant. We could hardly get the camera in the door. Of all the places in New York, why did you pick this place?
I just want to make your life difficult.
What do you like about it?
No, I love it. It's pretty, as you can see. I feel comfortable. It looks a little bit like my apartment, and it reminds me of France.
It's a really good thing.
And the food is great.
So you have a lot of bottles sitting around in your apartment like this?
I have shelves like this in my apartment. And
glass
glasses.
shelves?
Yeah.
It's very
and
70s.
my walls are yellow like that. No, it looks like a lot of places that I remember in Paris, except it's a little cleaner.
I want to talk to you about Paris. Why don't we get some food first?
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Let us go. I'll get you. I'll be the matron.
Is this our table?
Yeah. Our appetizers. For Molly, an endive salad with Roquefort, apples, and walnuts, and I've got a salad with grilled shrimp and sea scallops with tarragon. Well, New York creations that echo Molly's 4 years in Paris. Now, how about the food? There were people who come back from Paris and say, you can't get a bad meal in Paris. Everything is perfect. What do you say about that?
Well, you absolutely can get a bad meal. But
you've had some?
Oh, yeah, but it's much easier to have a good meal there than it is in America, I would say.
What would be your recollection of, say, the greatest meal, if you can single one out?
Without a doubt, Robichon.
Robichon?
Yeah,
How
the
long
chef Joel Robichon, who's retired since. And I'm really mad that he's retired because I only ate in his restaurant 2 times. I took my mom there, and as you know, my mom's a chef.
Your mother is a chef?
And it's the only time she didn't complain. Every time I take her to these really fancy restaurants, really nice, and she's, you know, oh, that's not right, that's not right. It was the only time she was in awe. And she said, if Martians came down from Mars and said, what is the perfect cuisine, and how do you do it, this is the place to take it. It was just fantastic.
How long did the meal take, from like the time you sat down to the time you staggered out the door?
Well, I never actually got to have dinner there. I only had lunch. We got there probably around, I'd say 12:30, 1, and we staggered out at 5.
That's good.
That's
a
great.
meal.
It was,
That's
and
a lunchtime.
And we were both dazed.
Yeah,
we took the metro, and we couldn't even talk. We were so moved.
You also, when you were in Paris, you fell in love in Paris.
I did.
During that period of time. And the relationship still continues, you know, several years later. And I read, and I love this quote, you said, you know, I read that you said, if you haven't made love on the streets of Paris, you absolutely must do it.
Did I say that?
Is it legal over there to do that?
I assume they have the same laws there that we have here. I take the fifth.
You can't mention any streets or give specific locations?
No, I will say that Paris is very romantic. Oh. And it does lend itself to wild excursions.
I think you're really a wonderful actress. I have seen almost everything you've done. I've rented movies, not as well as seen movies. I've seen your play. And there's one thing that you do when you act that I've seen carefully. I actually rewound the tapes.
Oh no, you're gonna make me self-conscious now.
No, you have this look, like when somebody is sort of bugging you or saying something you think is like crazy, it just like this look comes across your eye, there it is, and you sort of get this, it rolls down to your mouth. And I know that if I see this look during the interview, I'm in big trouble.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's just sort of like, what are you doing? I can't believe this.
I'm sure I get it from my mom.
You think so?
Yeah, I've seen that look on her face.
Oh, the same look on her face?
Yeah.
Also, you've worked with such an interesting, I wonder if you could give me sort of like thumbnail impressions of some of the actors you work with. Recently, I saw The Pickup Artist again. Mm-hmm. You worked really well with Robert Downey Jr. Mm-hmm. in that movie. Was there any harbinger at that point of the problems that the man is now facing today? Any sense of that then?
Well, like he said, he has been addicted to drugs since he was a child, just because of the way that he grew up. So, so that was going on then, but I wasn't directly involved with it. You know, we pretty much had different lives, so I didn't really see it firsthand.
In terms of work, everything.
In terms of work, he was always there. He was always, you know, on. He's incredibly talented, and you know, there was no problem with the work. But I could see that there were, you know, hard things going on in his life.
And what about actor James Spader, Molly's arrogant antagonist in Pretty in Pink?
He came in to read for the part, and I didn't know him at all. And we were in a really small room with no air conditioning, hot lights, because a lot of actors were coming in to read. And the first thing he did was he sat down and he lit himself a big cigarette and smoked it in this room where no one could breathe.
Right.
And he
Everything's swirling around.
Perfect. I mean, he just looked like such a jerk. The way he did it, the way he held his cigarette, the way he just sort of blew it out at everybody. I mean, it was a total thing, you know. He decided to go for it. Some actors, you know, would be afraid to offend everybody, but in this case it worked because everybody said, "Oh, he's perfect. He's such a jerk." In fact, he's not a jerk at all. I mean, he was just a smart actor.
That's what
and
he did.
He did a fantastic job as the villain.
You think there's ever a possibility that John Hughes could consider like a 15 or 20-year high school reunion of all your characters from one of those movies?
Everybody asks that. I think it would do well because I think that everybody really is curious to know what happened.
Right.
I don't know. I've heard some talk about it, but I don't know if he's actually considering that or not. There's a danger in that too, because everybody has their own idea about where these characters went, and I don't know if you want to. The script would have to be really, really great.
Where do you, from that wonderful landmark teen trilogy, where do you think your character is now? She was always so centered, knew what she was doing. Which
one? Which character?
All three seemed to me to be the set. Let's say take the one from the last film, Pretty in Pink. Yeah. The last time we see her, she's kissing in the parking lot. Right. Is there a happy ending? Do they get married?
Well, it's Cinderella. Of course.
Sure.
She got her Prince Charming. She had to get married.
So do you think 15 years out, the two of them are happily married? Do you think that they've succumbed?
No, he was too weak for her. I'm sure she moved on. I'm sure she got her prince and then said, okay, now what?
And how about your character in The Breakfast Club? Again, another centered character, the object of great longing. How do you think she's doing 15 years later?
I think she's probably been divorced a couple times. Oh, God, this is so cynical.
And Molly's character, Samantha Baker from 16 Candles. How do you think she is doing now, all these years later?
I think she's happily married.
Good.
I think she's happily married. She probably has a couple kids. She lives in the suburbs in Chicago. She's very happy.
Well, hopefully she's watching right now. We'll take a break, and we'll get back with our entrees, Molly Ringwald. So welcome back to our meal with actress Molly Ringwald. Molly ordered
a duck. I think it's a breast of duck in port wine sauce, and mashed potato is my favorite.
We like mashed potatoes. I have the bouillabaisse, which Gourmet Magazine says is the best bouillabaisse in the United States of America. With a review like that, I had to order it. So,
Absolutely.
hearty appetite. The highly praised bouillabaisse is prepared in Le Gigot in a tiny kitchen by chef Alioune from Senegal. And here's a hint on his creation.
Well, some purists, they say that you can only make bouillabaisse with a red fish that you find in the Mediterranean. That is called carcass. I think in English you call it red fish. But the best fish you can use here in this country is the red snapper, or any oily and white fish to make your stock. Once you got the good stock, you can make a good bouillabaisse. You cannot get it wrong.
And although Molly and I glided through a lunch at Le Gigot, in the evening, the small bistro glows with candlelight and gives the visitor the pleasure of a virtual night in Paris. There's one topic with you that I really have to talk about, and I'm sure this has been re-treadmilled many times, but it's this teen icon thing from the 1980s. Mm-hmm. At this point, turning 30, are you trying to put a stake in that, like a Dracula thing, and just get that out of the way?
Well, I don't really have to worry about it. I mean, I am 30, and everybody knows that I'm not a teenager anymore, and I was so pleased to see Vanity Fair, and I saw Claire Danes on the cover, and it says Hollywood Teen Queen, and I thought, oh, great, somebody else gets the title. So I feel very removed from that now.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, at one point I read that Sandra Dee was to the 50s, Diane Keaton was to the 70s, Molly Ringwald was to the 80s. I would think to be 16 or 17 years old, to be on the cover of Life magazine with Tom Cruise and Madonna, mm-hmm. and have it labeled that, you know, you're going to be a legend in your own time. Mm-hmm. That's pressure.
Yeah, I suppose it is. I didn't really think about it that much. I mean, it seemed very funny to me, and it almost seemed like it was happening to someone else. So.
It did? Well, you grew up with a beautiful older sister. You actually grew up feeling like the ugly duckling, the beanpole ugly duckling?
Uh-huh, that's true.
Well, again, you're 16 years old, you're on the cover of Time magazine this time. Wow. I mean, how do you react to that as basically a child?
Well, honestly, when you're a teenager, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. You know, the importance that people give to Time magazine and Life magazine, you don't really give the same importance when you're 17 years old. To me, it was just another magazine.
Just a photo of you. Well, I guess the real question I want to ask, Molly, is what kind of a price have you had to pay for this? The early success, the fact that Hollywood is they don't like teen stars necessarily to age or to change or to grow up. There has to have been a price tag for you personally.
Well, I think that I think it's good in a way, because even though it was unexpected, my success, it happened. I sort of had some sort of warning for it. You learn very early what matters and what doesn't. And I think it sort of prepared me in a way. You know, when it happens later, when you're an adult, when you have the possibility of having more vices, that sort of thing, you could be sort of unprepared. And I feel like I had a great lesson in celebrity and what it's all about. So I don't think it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's true, people do tend to hold on to things, but you know, but I can't.
Those teen years did hold some precocious experiences for Molly, like the phone call from Warren Beatty. I read a story that when you had your early days of success, Warren Beatty got you on the phone, and he said was talking to you. I guess he wanted to see you or something like that, chatting you up on the phone, and he said, well, you said, well, I'm in school, and he said, oh, college? You said, no, I'm not in college. And he said, acting school? And he said, no, I'm not in acting school. I'm in junior high school.
Big pause on the telephone.
But it ended up you got to be friends with Warren Beatty, and you worked with him. And he went to your family's house for Thanksgiving dinner.
That's true.
Tell me what that was like. Warren Beatty walks in the door. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Here's our Thanksgiving dinner.
It was really nice. I mean, I was in the other room with my friend Angie and my sister and my mom, sort of getting ready. And he was in the living room with my father, who he'd never met before. And my father proceeded to tell him, well, I have to tell you, you were really fantastic in The Graduate.
Dustin Hoffman's movie.
Yeah, and he said, no, I wasn't in The Graduate. I think you're talking about Dustin. He goes, oh, you weren't in The Graduate? But he wasn't, I mean, it wasn't a ploy or whatever. He honestly thought that he was fantastic in The Graduate. How
did Warren Beatty like Thanksgiving dinner at the Ringwalds?
Well, my mom's a fantastic chef.
Yeah.
And he thinks that she's a great chef. He always said that she was one of the best chefs that he's ever.
So it was an altogether successful Thanksgiving meal. I heard that the first time you attempted to cook with your mother, it was somewhat disastrous.
Did she tell you that?
Well, I did take her on a tour of the network. Why don't you let us know what happened?
Well, the way that I like to do things is, which is why I'm so careful about directing. I want to make sure I'm very well prepared for it, because I have this tendency to sort of go full force. And instead of just starting with, you know, something easy like pasta or whatever, I decided to do this huge meal for the whole family with puff pastry desserts. And the whole meal went fine. I think I did chicken with, you know, goat cheese and different stuff underneath.
Good for you.
It was very nice. And then the puff pastry sort of was more daunting than I thought.
Making it?
Yeah, because it's really complicated.
From scratch?
Well, yeah, you have to do the dough and then put the butter inside.
Good
and
stores out there near where you live?
Well, I grew up in a household where my mom, when I was growing up, she made her own bread, made her own jam, practically like made her own butter, made her, you know, everything. So to me, you don't go out and buy puff pastry,
so what
you make it. Well, it was just a little more difficult because you have to keep putting it in the freezer and you have to keep it cold, and if you don't do it right, then it sort of goes all over the place. So my mom sort of stepped in and saved the day.
Saved the day.
Molly not only credits her mother for helping her in the kitchen, but for her early growth as an actress.
I think my real acting ability probably comes more from my mother, even though she's not a professional actress.
She's shy, your mother.
Very shy, but she always had a capability of storytelling and becoming the characters, and she has a very strong imagination, and I think that talent probably came from her.
Well, let's have a toast to your mother and take a break. Back to our corner table at Le Judeau restaurant here in Manhattan with the beautiful Molly Ringwald. And thank you for being with us. Time for dessert.
Great.
Is tart tartan your favorite dessert?
One of them, absolutely, and this looks like a great one.
Well, let me tell you this. It's my favorite dessert.
Go for it.
I have a chocolate cake with a creme anglaise. So,
how's it?
You're in for it. It's good. I'm curious right now, if we were to take our camera over to your apartment, which you said looks like this restaurant, and we open your refrigerator door, what's in your refrigerator right now?
Oh, God, it's embarrassing. Right now, just the basics, orange juice and coffee, and my water filter.
That's not embarrassing. What's in there behind it?
Everything that I haven't thrown out. Yeah.
So the things stay a little bit too long in your refrigerator?
Yeah, well, when my boyfriend's here, he's really great. He's much more organized than I am, so he always keeps everything all neat and tidy.
He's back in Paris.
But he's in Paris, so I'm on my own.
I heard he proposed.
Where did you hear that?
Well, you know, just in the grapevine. Anything gonna happen?
Nervous laugh.
No, you should just give me that look. Then I'll go away.
Well, you know, it's definitely a thought, but I'm not in a big hurry to get married, to be honest.
Neither am I, Molly.
I mean, I totally believe in commitment and monogamy, and we have a great relationship, and you know, but I don't know about the marriage. It all seems a little bit complicated to me.
You don't need that license necessarily to have a good relationship.
I think so.
Here's a hypothetical question for you. If you could, like Star Trek, be beamed up and beamed down anywhere in the world for dinner tonight, we're going to cancel the show. Where would you like to be having dinner tonight?
In Paris with my boyfriend.
And where in Paris?
Where in Paris? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is a restaurant called Clémentine. It's in the, I think the 2nd arrondissement, and it's a place we go to a lot. So I think that's the first thing that comes to mind.
A familiar, good Parisian restaurant.
Yeah.
Then one other thing. We come back to this little spot in 10 years. Pamela has been running a successful restaurant. 10 years have passed. You're about to celebrate your 40th birthday.
That makes me nervous.
Molly, what do you want to be able to say about the decade that has gone by?
Well, I'd like to talk about how great my 30s were and how it's when I really got it all together. Hopefully I will have directed a couple films and maybe had a child, maybe 2.
A couple of children, a couple of films, and the happiest time of your life, your 30s.
Yeah.
I absolutely will drink to that and toast you and wish you that.
Thank you.
And I would like you to, we always close with a toast from you to our Food Network viewers.
Here's to you, bon appetit.
Here's to you, bon appetit.